Bali Maharaj, in verse 19, Bali Maharaj's wife, Vindyavali, she was very agitated and afraid when she saw, and aggrieved when she saw how her husband had been arrested and tied by the Varuna Pash, by Garuda, under the order of Vamanadev. She folded her hands, Pranjali, folded hands, and she spoke a verse, which is a very interesting verse. In chapter 22, verse 20. She said, Kritartam Atmanam Idam Tri Jagat Kritam Te. She said, "Oh my Lord Vamanadev, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes." In this verse, she's saying that this material world is created for Lila, Shristi Lila, Krita Artam. Art means objective, value, wealth, attainment, purpose, sake of. So Krita Arta means the sake or purpose of Lila, Atmanam, Artam Atmanam, Idam Trigat Kritam. This Tri Jagat, Bhurvava Swa, all these lower, middle, and upper planetary systems. This is a Krita, like we say Rasa Krita in Bhagavatam. Rasa Krita means the pastimes of the Rasa dance, or Jal Krita. Sometimes they say Jal Keli in Bengali. But in Sanskrit they say Jal Krita, water sporting or water splashing, water pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Radhakund, or Jamuna or Prem Sarovar or whatever, wherever. Kritartam. This material world is the Lord comes to this world to display His divine pastimes, to attract the conditioned souls to the sweetness of His Nara Lila, especially His Braj Lila. He comes once in a day of Brahma to attract those fortunate souls that can avail themselves to this pastime by seeing it directly in Boma Vrindavan, Prakat Lila, or hearing about it, coming in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, which is specifically broadcasting the Leelas of Braj Bhakti through the writings and teachings of Raghunuga Bhakti and Braja Prema Bhakti. Why was the material created? For Krita, for the sake of pastimes. This is the pastime place, Mahavishnu's Lila Stali, the material world. He creates his material creation and glances at the creation and enters into the creation, every universe as Suradakshay Vishnu, and enters into the heart of every jiva who is expanded from his glance, the Tasta Jivas, Jiva Shakti. And he's sitting there side by side waiting to engage in pastimes with all the living entities. This is a very interesting concept about which Vindyavali is mentioning here, Bali Maharaj's intelligent wife. Kritartam Atmanamidam Tri Jagat Kritam. O Lord Vamanadev, Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, this material creation, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes. So often people suffering in the material world, they say, why am I here? What is this? Well, it's Leela, it's Shristi Leela, the creation Leela. And this idea is also described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma, chapter 16. Prameya, Jivas and Maya. Vajranath asks his guru. Vajranath says, if Krishna is so merciful, compassionate, Karunamaya, why did he make the jiva so weak and so minute with independence that he could become entangled in Maya. His guru answers, it's true that Krishna is Karunamaya, overflowing with mercy, but Krishna is also Lila Purushottam, Lila Maya, filled with the desire to perform pastimes. Desiring different pastimes, as this verse is saying in Bhagavatam, Kridartam Atmana Idam Trijatkritam. Desiring different pastimes to be enacted in different situations, Sri Krishna trains the jiva to be capable in all conditions, from the marginal state, tatastha, to the highest state of Mahabhav. To facilitate the jiva's progressing practically towards becoming qualified to serve the Lord, Krishna has also created the lower levels of material existence, the material world, beginning from the lowest inert matter up to ahankara. Having fallen from their constitutional position, jivas are entangled in Maya, are opposed to Krishna, and engrossed in personal sense gratification. Krishna is a reservoir of mercy. No matter how low the jiva has fallen, Krishna still provides him with full facility to attain the highest spiritual position. How does he do that? Krishna does this. This is his lila. This is his pastime. He appears personally before them along with his spiritual abode and his eternal associates. The jivas, taking advantage of this merciful opportunity, can attain a higher position and reach the spiritual world. Then Vajranath asks the question, well, if this is Bhagavan's pastimes, or for the sake of Bhagavan's lila, this kridartam, atmanam, why must the jivas suffer? Guruji answers, the jivas possess some independence, which is a sign of Bhagavan's special mercy upon them. However, being opposed to Krishna, the jiva has become impure through engaging in material sense gratification. Therefore, he must be purified by suffering various miseries in this material world. By suffering miseries, the misery of the jivas opposed to Krishna finally transforms into happiness, or finally leads to happiness. Suffering is therefore just a sign of Bhagavan's mercy. That is why intelligent people see the suffering of the jivas in Krishna's pastimes in the material world as auspicious. The foolish people only see a source of misery. Then the disciple Vajranath asks a question. Well, Krishna is all-powerful. Why couldn't he think of a path less troublesome and miserable and painful for the jivas to become rectified and elevated? Guruji answers, this is one of Krishna's pastimes, which are variegated and wonderful. Bhagavan can perform all kinds of pastimes because he's independent and almighty. No pastime can be rejected if there is to be true full variety. Besides, even Krishna's parishas, nitya parishas, or participants in other pastimes, they also accept some suffering. Krishna is the enjoyer and the active agent. All ingredients and paraphernalia are controlled by his desire and subject to his activities. It is natural for a person to experience some suffering when he is under the control of some other person. If that suffering brings pleasure in the end, then that person won't consider it true suffering. How can you call this actual suffering that the jiva is undergoing in this Srishti Lila, or this Kridartam Atmanam of this Trijagat? The so-called suffering that the jiva is undergoing in the material world, or that he's undergoing, in order to nourish and support Krishna's pastimes is actually a source of delight. A jiva's desire for independence has caused him to abandon the pleasure of serving Krishna and instead accept suffering and Maya. It's the jiva's choice. It's his independence. It's his fault. It's not Krishna's. This independent jiva is a beloved servant of Krishna. But Krishna is compassionate towards him. So seeing the misfortune and how he's misused his independence and is now suffering due to his attachment of Maya, Krishna chases after the jiva. He runs after the conditioned soul, weeping and weeping. And he comes to this material world and appears before the conditioned soul to deliver him. This is Krishna's pastime. His preaching lila, his preaching pastime. Krishna's heart melting with mercy for his jivas, he manifests his achintya lila in the material world, thinking that his appearance will enable the jivas to see his nectarian pastimes. But somehow the jivas don't understand the truth about Krishna's pastimes, even after receiving so much mercy by the compassionate Lord. So then Krishna comes again, and Kali Yuga descends as Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. Then he takes the form and plays the role of the Guru. He personally describes the process of chanting his own name and form, qualities and pastimes. And he personally instructs and inspires the jivas to take to this path of Nam Satkirtan, Bhakti Yoga, Shuddha Bhakti, Braja Bhakti. Well, this is also the Lila, Gaur Lila, in the material world. He personally inspires the jivas to take to this path by practicing it himself and showing everyone. So how can one accuse Krishna of being at fault in any way when he's so merciful? Krishna is so merciful, his mercy is unlimited, but our fortune is lamentable. Lakshmana Thakur is describing that this is the Leela of the Lord, which is actually indicated here. So, appropriately by the wife of Bali Maharaj. O my Lord, you have created the entire universe for the enjoyment of your personal pastimes. This material world is Leela Bhumi, is the place of Krishna's pastimes, and we jivas, Tatastha jivas, we are part and parcels of Krishna. We are situated in this Leela Bhumi of the material world. We are here for the pleasure of the Lord, by the design and arrangement and creation of the Lord. With His intention, His will, we are placed here and situated here in this region, transitional region between external and internal potency. Well, let us play the Leela perfectly for the pleasure of the Lord. Not suffer, but transcend and enter the eternal pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. In text 29, 30, in this chapter 22, describes how Vamanadeva actually wanted to test his devotee, Bali Maharaj, to see how attached he was, whether he was more attached to material sense gratification or serving the Lord. Bali Maharaj passed the severe test that Krishna put before him. And this is further proof of the mercy he gave him, of how much mercy the Lord showed to his devotee. Sometimes Krishna subjects his devotee to severe tests that are almost unbearable. One could hardly even live under the conditions which Vamanadeva forced upon Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj endured all these severe tests and austerities. That is proof of the mercy of Krishna. Krishna appreciates the devotee's tolerance and forbearance, and he remembers it, and he records it for the future glorification of the devotee. Krishna not only tested Bali, but also gave him the strength to tolerate such adversity. Well, this is the conclusion. That Krishna is so kind to his devotee that even when he's severely testing him, Krishna gives his devotee the necessary strength to be tolerant and continue to remain a glorious devotee.